Hey, Terrance, hold up.
The voice of my boss stopped me in my tracks as I was walking out the front door to leave for the weekend. I turned and saw him driving down the hallway towards me with an envelope in his hand. "Yes, sir," I said as I walked back inside the building.
Sorry, I almost forgot to give you this. A woman stopped by my office a few hours ago and asked me if I'd pass this on to you before you left today.
"What is it?" I asked as I took it from his hand. He looked at me and chuckled.
I don't know. I usually don't make it a habit of going through other people's stuff, especially a sealed envelope given to me by a very lovely young lady.
"Do you know who she was?"
She didn't say. I just assumed she was her sister. She looked just like you, but trust me, she was much prettier. I'd say she was probably around your age, too.
I looked down at the envelope and then back at my boss. "That's really weird, sir, 'cause I don't have a sister."
Huh, yeah, that's pretty weird.
He said as he headed back down the hallway to his office.
'Cause she literally looked just like you. Have a good weekend, Terrance.
"Yeah," I replied. "You too." I walked out to my truck and all I could think was, who could that have possibly been? It's so strange. I got in the truck and sat there for a moment staring at the envelope my boss had just handed me. Finally, after a few minutes, I tore the end of it off and a key fell out on my lap. Wait, what? That's my key. I knew immediately that it was my key for my childhood home because there was a T carved in it. I reached inside the envelope and pulled out a folded piece of paper. I'll be honest with you, I hesitated for a moment, long enough to gather my thoughts at least, and then I unfolded the paper and it read, "Come home, T." What the heck is going on? Was this some kind of sick joke? I couldn't think of anyone that would do this except for maybe my buddy Sam, but he's never done anything like that before. I mean, the guy gives me a hard time, but he's not cruel. I reached into my pocket and grabbed my phone and dialed Sam's number. I knew it by heart. We had been friends since we were kids. After a few rings, Sam answered.
"Terrance, my man, please tell me you're not canceling. We planned this trip months ago, bro."
"Hey, did you send a woman to my office today?"
You know as well as I do, I can't get a girl to talk to you. You're too grumpy, bro. Women like charmers and men that are in a decent mood, at least half the time. And that, my friend, that's not you.
Wow, thanks, man. I really appreciate the vote of confidence, but that's not what I mean. Did you send a woman with an envelope that had a key in it?
No. Dude, are you okay?
Yeah, sorry, I just, I had something come up and I need to go out of town. It's a family emergency.
Bro, you serious? You don't have any family.
I'm sorry, Sam. I gotta go, man, but hey, I'll make it up to you, okay?
Yeah, I guess just let me know as soon as you can what's going on so I don't worry about you too much. I'll talk to you later, I guess.
He mumbled and then he hung up the phone. I set my phone down to the passenger seat beside me and started the truck. My thoughts went from being excited about a relaxing weekend with my best bud at his family's lake house with lots of beer and fishing to going home? This makes no sense. As I started the 3-hour trip back to Charlotte, I thought back to my childhood. Could this be my dad? But why? I mean, it couldn't be. My boss said it was a woman. See, my dad left my mom and I when I was 3. He was a deadbeat and really only cared about himself, and we were nothing but an unwanted burden to him. I don't really remember anything about him, but as far as I was concerned, we were better off. Though it was hard on my mom raising me on her own. I mean, she did a great job. It was me and her against the world. Well, that is, until that day right before my 17th birthday. That's when everything changed. I think about that day constantly. I wish somehow I couldn't.
T. Terrance!
Mom yells as she flung the door open in my room.
Get your lazy butt out of bed, kid. Do you have any idea what time it is?
"I'm not going to school today. I'm sick."
I said as I pulled the blanket up to my neck.
What? You were fine last night.
"Yeah, that was last night, Mom, but I'm sick now."
Really?
She said, obviously not convinced.
Okay then. What's wrong with you?
"I'm just sick, okay?"
Okay, fine. You know what? This is actually good. You know why?
But before I could speak, she continued.
Because they're doing a catered breakfast at work, Terrance, and I was going to miss it as usual because we're late as usual. And now that I don't have to take you to school, I get to enjoy a breakfast that I didn't cook for once. Maybe they have mini muffins. I hope they do. That'd be fantastic. Thank you so much for being sick today, Terrance.
I rolled over to my side and replied.
"That's awesome, Mom. Hey, I'm glad I could help."
I laid there with my eyes closed, but I could feel her glaring at me. After about 10 seconds or so, she broke the silence.
The dishes had better be done, Terrance, when I get home, every single one of them actually clean, not just rinsed off. And clean this room. It smells like a dead skunk in here.
"A dead skunk, Mom? Really?"
Yes, a dead skunk. It smells worse than a live skunk. It's disgusting. And take out the trash. It's been sitting by the back door for 3 days. It's ridiculous. I am not your maid. I do not get paid to be your maid. You know what, Terrance? This is ridiculous. You get paid allowances. I don't get paid anything. You know what? I'm not arguing with you anymore. I'm going to have some muffins, and you can get over it.
Why are you so angry?
I asked, slightly concerned.
Because I'm late for work, Terrance.
She yelled. I laughed and laid back down, covered up.
Then go to work, goofball.
Where do you think I'm going?
She screamed as she slammed the bedroom door and stopped down the hallway.
I hope you feel better, you big faker.
I covered my head with a blanket and laughed.
Yeah. I love you too, Mom.
I closed my eyes and slowly drifted off to sleep. Then, what felt like seconds later, I woke up to the doorbell ringing. I pulled the pillow off of my head and started to get out of bed.
Seriously, Mom? What'd you do, lock yourself out?
But when I opened the door, it wasn't my mother standing there. It was a police officer.
Hello, son. Are you Terrance Baker?
I shook myself awake a bit and answered.
Yeah, sorry. What's going on?
Son, my name is Officer Callie with the Charlotte Police Department. I've got some bad news for you. There was an accident involving your mother and a drunk driver. And I'm sorry to tell you this, son, but your mother died at the scene.
Wait, what?
Instantly, my heart started to race. The room felt as though it got darker and heavier, and I couldn't breathe. All I heard after that was a muffled sound as the officer continued on. I just couldn't help but think to myself, please, God, let this be a dream. But sadly, here we are, almost 15 years later, and I still haven't woken up. I pulled into the driveway and sat in my truck for a good 20 minutes or so. I just couldn't bring myself to walk into the house. After she died, I lived with a foster family for the remainder of that year, and as soon as I turned 18, I got a job at an oil rig, and I never looked back. I never even took a single thing from the house. Nothing. Not even a picture. I wanted nothing to do with our old memories. It was too hard to even think about it. My old life, it was gone. My Uncle David and I weren't close at all. He didn't treat my mom very well, and he only ever took advantage of her, so we tried to avoid him as much as we could. He was Mom's only sibling, but he never had much to do with us. When I refused to take the house after she passed away, the bank sold it to him. I don't even know why he bought it. He's never done anything with it. As far as I knew, it was exactly the same as the day I left. I got out of the truck and walked to the front door. My hands were so sweaty I could barely hang on to the key. Where did this thing even come from? I thought. Did Uncle David send it to me? But who was the woman? And no one ever called me T, but Mom, he was hardly ever around, so he couldn't have known that. I was so nervous at this point, but I had to know what was going on, so I put the key in the lock, turned the door handle, and I opened the door. "Hello?" I yelled as I walked inside. "Uncle David, are you here?" Nothing. I walked into the kitchen. There were plates set up on opposite sides of the table. Mom and I used to eat breakfast together before we left for the day, as often as we could. I guess she originally planned on us eating together that day too, even though her work was providing food for her. That's how much those meals together meant to her. I walked down the hallway to her old room and looked inside. I didn't even bother turning the light on. I shut the door and then headed to my room. I opened the door and looked in. "Hello? Is anyone here?" Nothing. What in the world is going on? I thought to myself as I headed back towards the front door. You know what? This is stupid. I'm getting out of here. Just then, I heard a very familiar voice.
Terrance, honey, I'm in here.
What? No. It can't be. Tears instantly filled my eyes to the point where I couldn't see. It's impossible. Mom? I stood there in shock for a moment. Then I turned and walked in the living room, and there she was, sitting right there on her normal spot on the couch. She was wearing the same outfit she wore the day before she died. Not only that, but she hadn't aged a day. But how?
Hi, sweetie.
She said as she gave me a soft, heartfelt smile. How is this possible? I asked. You've been gone for 15 years, Mom. I don't understand.
I wish I could tell you everything, but that's not why I'm here.
What do you mean? I asked confusingly. How is this even happening right now? Am I losing my mind?
No, sweetie, you're not going crazy. I came to check on you. I've been concerned about you.
This is crazy. I'm going crazy.
T, calm down. Have a seat, please.
She said as she pointed to the chair across from her. No, I'm okay. I think I'd just rather stand for now. I was in utter shock. Mom, how are you here? She looked at me with the most serious look I'd ever seen on her face and said,
Son, Listen to me. You have to forgive him. It's killing you.
Forgive who? I asked as I started to pace the room.
You know exactly who I'm talking about. The drunk driver, T. Do you remember his name?
Of course I remember his name. How could I ever forget? I paced the room back and forth a few more times and then turned in her direction. I can't forgive him. He doesn't deserve it. She sat there with a sad look on her face and said,
It's not about him, honey. It's about you. This burden you're carrying around is destroying you. You have to let it go so you can heal and move on. You still have your whole life ahead of you, and I don't want you to miss it because you're so angry.
How can you expect me not to be angry? How could I ever forgive a man like that who only cares about himself? She sat there for a moment, but then asked me a very simple and unexpected question.
Have you ever looked him up?
Why would I do that? I hope he's dead. That's what he deserves. I stood there with my fist clenched, staring at the ground. And then suddenly, her hand touched mine.
Sweetheart, just look him up.
I turned and looked at her beautiful, freckled face. Okay, fine. I'll do it for you, I said as she let go of my hand and walked back over to the couch. She smiled at me and then sat back down and covered up with her favorite blanket. I took out my phone and loaded up the web browser and typed in Jonathan Ackman. Immediately, I saw headline after headline about how he was one of the wealthiest men in the city of Charlotte. I read about how he owned several businesses and had over 800 employees, and how he had started 11 charitable organizations, and how he's helped hundreds of young men stop drinking and turn their lives around. Is this him? I asked my mom as I turned toward her.
After spending several years in prison, he got released and decided to go to business school and do something with his life, and he ended up making millions. And then he decided to use his resources to help other people. He's not the same person anymore, T.
But how do you expect me to forgive him, Mom? Seriously, I said grudgingly as I looked out our side window of our living room. I just don't know if I can. She got up and walked over beside me. We stood there and watched a hummingbird fly around in front of the window for a moment and then zip off into the distance and disappear into the trees.
I understand, son. It's hard, but again, you don't have to do it for him. Do it for you. Do it for me. All I want is to see you happy, son. See you start a family and chase after your dreams. That's all I've ever wanted.
I stood there for what felt like forever, trying to hold back the tears. And then I turned to her and said the hardest words I'd ever said before. Okay, Mom. I'll do it. She reached her arms around me and gave me the biggest hug ever and said,
I love you, son.
I love you too, Mom. Soon after, I pulled myself together and then walked into the back hallway towards my bedroom. I looked him up online once again and found a phone number for his home office. I took a deep breath and then dialed the number. It only rang once when a woman with a very bold and confident voice answered the phone.
Hello, Mr. Ackman's office. May I ask who's calling?
Hi, my name is Terrance Baker. Would it be possible to speak to Mr. Ackman today?
I'm sorry, but Mr. Ackman has a lot of meetings today, but, I can buzz him and see if he could possibly take your call, but listen, there's no guarantees, okay?
Okay, I said. Thank you. After only a few seconds, the phone clicked.
This is Mr. Ackman.
My heart skipped a beat. I took a second and then began to speak. Hello, sir. My name's Terrance Baker. Listen, this was really hard for me, but I
know who you are.
He interrupted.
Sorry. I'm just so glad you called me.
Yeah, about that, I responded. Here's the thing. I've had a really strange day, and I had a friend tell me that you've really been helping people a lot lately.
Yeah, I have. My goal has been to help people not make the same mistakes that I made. Listen, Terrance, I know I can never make it right with you, but I decided a long time ago that I might as well try to help others with the time I had on this earth.
Mr. Ackman, sir, there is actually a reason I called you today. I just wanted you to know that I forgive you for what happened. Listen, I know it was a long time ago, and my friend convinced me this is the best thing for you and for me. I can't carry this around anymore. I heard him begin to cry, and I decided to give him a minute. But listen, here's the truth, sir, I continued. I'm still so angry, but I know that forgiving you is what my mom would want me to do. There was a long moment of silence between us, to the point where I thought, honestly, maybe the phone got disconnected, but then I heard a sniffle on the other end.
I understand.
He said as he cleared his throat.
And thank you so much for forgiving me, Terrance. I know that must be extremely hard for you, but You have no idea how much I've wanted to hear those words. I know I don't deserve it, and it's just all I've ever wanted, ever since that day. To be honest with you, I've actually prayed every single day since the accident that a miracle like this would happen. In fact, I literally prayed last night, Lord, even if you have to send an angel to him, please do it.
I immediately looked up and said, "Wait, I'm sorry, sir. What did you just say?" He replied.
I prayed that God would send an angel to you.
Suddenly, it all made sense. "Sir, I'm so sorry, but I gotta go, okay?"
Yeah, okay. Well, I hope you call me again soon.
Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely. I will call you back as soon as I can, okay? But I gotta go. I hung up the phone and immediately ran into the living room. She was gone. Wait, what just happened? I thought to myself as I stared at the couch where she was sitting. Was that my mom? Was it an angel? For all I know, I was hallucinating the whole thing. I didn't know what to think. Moments later, after the shock had worn off, I walked over and sat down next to her spot on the couch. Then my left elbow hit something hard that was underneath the blanket. I reached under and pulled out her old Bible. I'd forgotten about this thing. We never were big churchgoers, mainly because she always worked on Sundays, I suppose, but I did see her read this ratty old thing often. I set the book down in my lap, and I opened up the cover to the first page. I couldn't help but laugh at what I saw. "I haven't thought about this in so long," I said as I pulled an old picture out of the book. It was a photo from the time we went to this big theme park a few states over one summer, when I was about 10 years old, I guess. We never had a whole lot of money, but she knew I wanted to ride a roller coaster more than anything. So she secretly saved up for a whole year so we could go. We were there for an entire week. It was amazing. I smiled and stared at the picture while tears fell from my eyes. "I'll never forget that trip," I said as I looked down at the open book. But then I noticed something else. Right there on the note section of her Bible was something written to me. And it read, "To my amazing and wonderful son, my goal is to give this Bible to you someday when you're older. I know right now you're young and not that interested, and I get that. You're a kid. But I pray that one day I'll be able to place this book into your hands, and that you'll accept it from me willingly. I know for a fact that if you will take the time to read the pages in this book, it will change your life forever and give you hope for a better future, just like it has for me. Just know that I will always love you. And I will always be there for you no matter what. Nothing can keep us apart. Nothing in life or in death. You are my world. My reason for breathing. I will always do my very best to be there for you. I've got your back always. And remember, you're never alone. I love you so much, my one and only son. Your mom. Your friend. Angel."